Wayland, that 4-3 record is very deceiving. They should actually be, to many people's estimates, 6-1. They've beaten the likes of Bedford, who knocked off Lincoln Sudbury. They lost to Lincoln Sudbury, I believe, 13-12, and lost last week 10-9 on the last-second touchdown. So this is going to be a big test for the Wolverines. Quentin Scott now taking the handoff from Brian Quinn. He's going to get nowhere before he's brought down by Jeff Borton, 78, with help in there from Derek Edwards.
Carrying the ball tackled by Derek Edwards, number 40.
Wolverines 3rd down and 8 now. Windy afternoon, flag straight out. Wind blowing at about 25 to 35 miles an hour from your left to right. And Westwood calls timeout with 8 minutes remaining in the first quarter. If you just joined us, no score, 3rd down and 8 for the Wolverines. As Coach Eric Wolfinger brings his troops to the sideline, you can see 44 Mark Thurman, one of the co-captains, listening to his instructions. We have a little bit of dead air this afternoon. That's because I'll be here all alone, bring you as much as I can of the play-by-play and analysis. And that wind could be a big factor here this afternoon. Wayland lost the opening kickoff and elected to go with that wind, which I said is blowing from your left to right. Greg Warren drops back to pass. He's got time, looking for Mark Thurman over the middle. He's forced to run out of the pocket. He's got Thurman. The ball's tipped and almost picked off by 35 Keith Hills, but it was a good play in there by Dave Boyle, co-captain Dave Boyle. We've called his number quite a few times already, so he could be a player to watch for this Wayland team. Last year, this game, big win for the Wolverines as Brian Quinn came in for an injured Greg Warren and played what these coaches have called maybe the best high school quarterback game they've ever seen. As also went up and beat Wayland at Wayland last year. So the first Wolverine drive will stall at the 47-yard line of Wayland. Greg Warren will be forced to punt into that big win. He gets a low arcing, beautiful punt. And it hits off the hands of Mike Mosicella, and he picks it up at his own 5-yard line looking for running. He's going to go nowhere as the flag goes flying. Gets it back to about the 12-yard line, but there's a flag down the play, possibility of a clip on Wayland. So a great punt by Greg Warren into this driving wind puts Wayland Warriors deep in a hole for their first drive. Referee giving the indication, clip against Wayland. Referee talking with co-captain number 64 Jeff Roberts, what they want to do. Westwood co-captains 55 Joe Bean, 56 64 Jeff Roberts, 71 Scott McIntyre, and 44 Mark Thurman. So the Wolverines accept the penalty. Wayland will start 1st and 10 from their own 6-yard line with 7:37 remaining in the first quarter. Presently no score.
There's a power play going on here.
Mike Mosicella, quarterback for the Warriors, will lead his offense this afternoon. Inside handoff to 43, Dave Boyle, and Boyle is stacked up after he gets about a yard.
Tackled at the line of scrimmage.
Be 2nd down and about 9. Boyle is joined in that backfield by number 21, fullback Chris Curley. Mosicella back to pass. He's got some time. Here's it out. Beautiful spiraling pass deep downfield, but just overthrows Keith Parker. Parker had a couple of steps on Tommy Despinoza. And Moschella trying to take advantage of that wind, just in one out for about 60 yards. But Paco's just unable to get underneath it.
That was approximately a 16-yard throw by the Wayland quarterback.
Big throw by Moschella. Of course, he's got that 25, 30-mile wind at his back. 3rd down and 9 now for the Warriors. High formation behind Moschella. Long snap count. Inside handoff again. And that's Dave Boyle trying to bust ahead. He's only going to pick up about 4 yards, so it's going to set up a 4th and 5. The Warriors will be forced to punt.
Gain of 5 on the play, making it 4th down and 2.
Moschella doing a little bit of everything. He's also the team punter. Under a heavy rush, but he gets one away, end over end. Brent Jacobson picks it up at his own 40-yard line, heads back upfield. Nothing but white jerseys in front of him. He runs straight ahead and is taken down at the 50-yard line. Tackled by Keith Thomason. So Wolverines will start their second drive, 1st and 10 from the Warrior 49-yard line. But what you'd have to say is that first crisp, cold day here in the fall. We've been blessed with beautiful warm weather every Saturday afternoon, but today turned into real fall football weather. About 45 degrees with a pretty brisk wind. Greg Warren now with Walter Burl in motion. Pitches outside to Quentin Scott. Scott with running room following Scott McIntyre. Cuts up behind Scott's block. Powers ahead for the first time. Picks up about 12 yards. Good play by Quentin Scott to follow the block of Scott McIntyre. McIntyre kicking that defensive end out. Scott cut right up inside of him. Picked up about 10 yards. So Wolverines pick up their first down of the afternoon. Exactly 6 minutes to go in that first quarter. No score. Greg Warren blowing on those hands, trying to keep him warm. Going to be a little chilly out there. Walter Burl slot left, pro set behind Warren. Quick dive handoff to Andy Mullen. And Andy picks up where he left off last week and just powers ahead for another 8 yards. Andy earned his stripes last week with 120 yards on 20-some-odd carries and a touchdown. The star of last week's game.
Second down and 2 for Westwater.
Greg Warren giving his team the signals. Getting that play from head coach Eric Wolfinger. Wolverines come to the line, 2nd down and 2. A lot of possibilities on this play. It's a favorite play of Eric Wolfinger's. It's a 2nd and short. Again, Walter Burl in motion. Again, Andy Mullen inside handoff. Gets some good block, and Andy looking for room. He's in the clear. One man to beat, and he slips and falls down about the 12-yard line. Andy Mullen was just one-on-one out there with John Voyager. And Andy, they've become the new Wolverine secret weapon. A play to contend with, picks up another first down. It's going to be 1st and 10 from about the 11-yard line. The Wolverines using great inside blocking to just march the ball right down the field early in this first quarter, midway through the first quarter. 4:35 remaining to go in that first quarter. Walter Burl again in motion, pro set behind Greg Warren. Quentin Scott gets the ball this time. Big hole up the middle. Quentin Scott's all alone. Still on his feet. He's going to go in for the touchdown. Quentin Scott. Big hole opened up between B.J. Kelly and Joe Bean. Quentin Scott just powered right through the middle, and no one touched him from 11 yards out. The Wolverines go up 6-0 with 4:20 remaining to go in the first quarter. They made that drive look rather easy. Against what was billed as a big, strong defensive line from the Wayland Warriors. The Wolverines jump out on top. Danny Sullivan on now to attempt the extra point. Ball's down, kick is up, and it is good. Danny punches it through, so with 4:20 to go in the first quarter, the Wolverines on top 7-0. The band will strike up a little tune. And a little tune that is. So a good good drive by the Wolverines. Andy Mullen picking up about 20 yards on a couple of carries. Help from Quentin Scott, who picked up the last 11. The Wolverines pick up where they left off last week. Not running that inverted wishbone, but they're just running a pro set, just playing power football. And if they can keep that going this afternoon, it could be a long afternoon for the Wayland Warriors. But I don't want to sell them short because, like I said at the top of the show, they're 4-3, but they could just as easily be 6-1. A couple of one-point losses in what many people call maybe the best high school division in the state is the Dual County League, with the likes of Wayland and Bedford and Lincoln Sudbury. Lincoln Sudbury, the perennial Division III power, seems to go to the Super Bowl every year or every other year. Actually, the defending Division III champion. So Danny Sullivan, who just punts that extra point through, will kick off. Back deep for the Warriors is Chris Curley, number 21. It's going to be taken on the far sideline by Todd Boulay. Boulay, he follows ahead and he's slammed to the ground. Big hit by Adam Alves at about the 36-yard line, 37-yard line, where the Warriors will take over first and 10, 4:13 remaining in the first quarter. Wolverines on top, 7-0. You know, there's something a little bit different. I'm doing all the talking is because I'm solo here this afternoon. Roger Cummings had to attend a wedding, and Julie McGrail has been MIA so far. Mike Michella, number 16, senior quarterback. Inside handoff to, who else? 43, Dave Boyle. Dave Boyle with 3 carries this afternoon. He's really gotten nothing so far. Picks up another 3 yards on the inside dive. 65, Jeff Robertson. 71, Scott McIntyre in on the stop. Second down and 7 now for the Warriors. Triple threat, wide right. They have 2 receivers wide right and a slot right. Single setback. Michella back to pass. He's got some time. Looking for Ryan Donnelly, and he just overthrew Donnelly again. Donnelly covered on the play by Walter Burrell and Brian Quinn. Michelle maybe have just a little bit of problem with that wind. Again, he's got that 25, 30 mile an hour wind at his back, which may tend him to overthrow just a little bit, ball just sailing on him. Michelle, our big kid, 6'3", 205 pounds. Big, strong quarterback. He's second down and 7 now. Third down and 7 for the Warriors. Again, that single setback with 3 receivers split wide right. Michella back to pass, going to be under some pressure from Mike Shea. Gets rid of the ball. It's going to be incomplete. The referee's going to throw a flag for interference on Chris Curley. A few players out there, Scott McIntyre, Tommy Espinoza, and Jeff Roberts. As to who he caught, we don't know. But Chris Curley was interfered with. It's going to set up a first down and 10 for the Warriors on a big break. Warriors gets the first break on the penalty on the Wolverines. Give them a first and 10 into Wolverine territory. First time they cross midfield this afternoon. It'll be first and 10 from the Wolverine 47-yard line when they spot the ball. 3 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Wolverines on top, 7-0 on a 11-yard scamper by Quentin Scott. Set up by a couple of big runs by Andy Mullen, and Danny Sullivan tacked on the extra point. And that's where we stand right now. Mike Michelle again in that passing formation, just a single setback. Long snap count by the Warriors this afternoon. Little counterplay inside to Curley. He's going to go nowhere, stacked up right inside. Great hit by Scott McIntyre. And Jeff Roberts with a nice big form tackle. Put that face mask right between the numbers and drove Curley back to the line of scrimmage, but not until he picked up 2 yards. It's going to be second down and 8 from the Wolverine 42-yard line. Had a chance to talk with Coach Paul Carroll before the game, asking what we can expect from this Wayland football team, and he said they just play power football. Maybe a little bit more than they expect. Those guys throwing a little bit this afternoon, but except for the penalty, the Wolverine defense has been up to the task. Second down and 8. Dave Boyle on the pitch out looking for room. He goes nowhere. Stacked up by Tommy Despinosa with help from Scotty McIntyre and Ted Yabaccio. Illegal procedure against Wayland. Wolverines decline the penalty. It's going to be 3rd and 8 now. 3rd and 8.5. Michelle coming in with the play from the sideline. Keith Parker split right, double set, also right. Dave Boyle in the backfield behind Michelle. Long snap count. Michelle back to pass. He's got some pressure and he's going to be, oh, he avoids a hit by Mike Shea. Finds some time. He looks for wide open. It's 18. Keith Parker. Parker drops the ball all alone and finally is stopped by Walter Burrell. Parker, who got in behind Tommy Despinosa, was able to make the receptions. Michelle going a great athletic play, avoiding a hit from Mike Shea. Mike Shea had him all alone in his sights, but couldn't bring him down. Michelle made the most of it and found Keith Parker all alone downfield. It's going to be 1st and 10 from the 9-yard line for the Wayland Warriors. And Keith Parker would have been in all alone if he hadn't dropped that ball. So the Wolverines catch a break as Parker just flat out dropped the ball at about the 10-yard line. 1:50 remaining in the first quarter. Wolverines on top 7-0. With the Warriors coming back and responding in a big way, moving the ball right downfield on some big completions by quarterback Mike Michella. First and 10 for the Warriors. From the Wolverine 9-yard line, 9.5. Knocking on the door, trying to even this game up. Wolverines on top 7-0. Michella now with an inverted wishbone behind him. A new look from the Wayland offense. Pins the ball off to Boyle, and Boyle's going to go nowhere. Again, big play by Jeff Roberts. Jeff Roberts with help in there from Scott McIntyre and Mark Thurman. Roberts doing a good job right at the point of attack. Teddy Yabaccio also in on that tackle. It's going to set up a 2nd down and 10. Michelle calling signals. Still with that inverted wishbone behind him. On 2nd and 9. Play action. Michelle looking at the corner of the end zone. Just throws it up for grabs. It's going to be tipped. And just out of the hands of wide receiver Tom Burke. Burke over there, cover all on the play. B.J. Kelly along with Brian Quinn, Tommy Despinosa in the corner of the end zone. Trying to take advantage of his height. That's Burke's height. He checks in about 6'5". Michelle just lofted one up there for him, but a good defensive play by the secondary. And Wayland calls another timeout with 1:03 remaining in the first quarter. They don't want to come away from this without getting any points. 1st and goal from the 9-yard line. Another nice crowd on hand this afternoon for Wolverine football. You can see Mike Michelle on the far sideline talking with the head coaching staff, deciding what they want to do. But everyone bundled up really for the first time this season. So wind is whipping through Westwood High School field. Everyone broke out the thermal underwear and the fur coats this afternoon. Heavy leather jackets are out in force. Yeah. So Warriors now, 1st down and 10, and they're forced to call another timeout. Because they're confused as to what they want to do. They're trying to get a timeout, and the referee won't give it to them. And now they're going to run the play. And they're going to get a penalty for too much time. And I thought maybe Michelle might have just taken that on purpose because he looked a little confused as to what they wanted to run. A 5-yard penalty dropped them back to the 14-yard line. A little strange that they had that much of a problem after standing on the sideline with a full timeout discussing the play. But Michelle comes back now, hopefully with his players knowing what they're going to do. It'll be 3rd and 14, 3rd and goal from the 14-yard line. So Warriors trying to put some points on the board against what's been a very stingy Westwood Wolverine defense so far this year. It's Chris Curley in motion. Michelle, a long snap count again. Dropping back to pass. He's got some time. He's going to be under pressure from Mike Shea. He's looking over the middle. It's complete. But it's going to only get about 7 more yards. Complete to Rich Abraham, but he was hit immediately by Scott McIntyre. That's going to set up a 4th and 8 for the Warriors. Michelle getting plenty of time to throw, getting some pressure from the outside from Mike Shea. And they're going to go, it looks like they're going to attempt a field goal. It's going to be about a 30-yard attempt. Mr. Everything for Wayland, Mike Michelle is going to come along, places the tee down. So at 30, it's going to be a 25-yard attempt for Mike Michelle. 25-mile-an-hour wind behind him. Ball is down, kick is up, and it is long enough, it is good. Big kick by Michelle, and the Warriors tack 3 points up on the board. So with 8 seconds remaining in the first quarter, the Warriors get their first score of the afternoon on a 25-yard field goal by Michelle. Our score now stands at 7-3 Westwood as we just about near the end of the first quarter. They bring the ball back upfield where who else? Mike Michelle will be kicking off. I'm Dan McCarthy bringing you Westwood Wolverine football this afternoon from Westwood High School. You don't hear any voices because no one else is here. It's me all alone. Billy McGrail is MIA and Roger Cummings is attending a wedding. So if you don't like the sound of my voice, you better turn the TV down now because that's all you're going to hear for the next 3 quarters. So the Warriors get their first points of the afternoon. 25-yard field goal by Michelle. Helped along the play by a big interference call and a long 3rd down play, which enabled them to get to the Wolverine 45-yard line. They made the most of that opportunity and came away with 3 points. So Michelle now kick off deep as Brett Jacobson and Tom Despinoza goes through his hands. He picks it up, turns around, picks it up. He's going to step back upfield. He's got a little hope to the middle, but he's not going to get anywhere. Back up to about the 25-yard line where he's brought down on there by Jeff Cronenberg with help from Keith Hills. And that's the end of the first quarter. So with our score, Westwood Wolverine 7 and Wayland Warriors 3. Let's take this commercial timeout. The tunes of Louie Louie, the Westwood Wolverine marching band. First down and 10 for the Wolverines from their own 25-yard line. Walter Burrell in motion. Greg Warren inside handoff to Andy Mullen. Andy still looking for running room. Powers ahead for about 1 yard. Excuse me. And that's probably Andy Mullen's shortest gain in the last 50 minutes of football. Andy's just been running like a man on a mission. The last game against Medfield picked up 120 yards and a touchdown. So far this afternoon, he's got about 30 yards rushing on only about 4 carries. Greg Warren now. Again, that split backfield behind him. Kyle Kallenberg split wide left, Walter Burrell right, dropping back to pass, looking for Kallenberg. Throws and it's going to be intercepted. He's going to go all alone down to the 2-yard line. That was Dave Boyle. Boyle just picked the pass off, just waiting for Greg Warren. Warren never saw him. It's right in front of Kallenberg. They had to clear sailing down to the 1-yard line where it was brought down by Greg Warren. So Dave Boyle on a big interception. First turnover of the afternoon for the Wolverines. And Boyle returns it down to the 2-yard line where the Wolverines defense is going to have to try and stop this Warrior offense. First and goal. Only the second play of the second quarter. Mike Michella now. Quarterback sneak goes nowhere as Jeff Roberts came up and just stood him straight off. Jeff Roberts having an outstanding game this afternoon from his inside linebacker position. Michelle running over to the sideline telling his coach, hey coach, don't let me, I don't want to do that again. I'm going to hand the ball off. That's what they got running backs for. That's why they put him out here. Let them run the ball. The heck with being hit by him all day long. So Michelle just got back to the line of scrimmage. It's going to be second down and 2. Three backs behind Michelle now. That's Boyle, Curley, and Derek Edwards, number 40. From the left to right. Boyle on the carry, tries to get ahead, and he's going to be stopped. He's not going to get in. The Warriors indicating touchdown, but the referees yet to move their arms. Just spot the ball maybe about the 1-yard line. Again, Jeff Roberts coming off the bottom of that pile. With help in there from Joe Bean and Jeff Lennon, Matt Lennon, I'm sorry. It's going to be 3rd and 1. Michelle calls timeout, goes over the sidelines. He wants to talk to his coaches. 9:08 remaining to go in the first half. Wolverines on top 7-3, but the Warriors knocking on the door after the interception and 30-yard return by Dave Boyle. Intercepted a Greg Warren pass intended for Kyle Kallenberg. Just stepped right in front of him from his middle linebacker position and returned it down to the 2-yard line. Another great day for football here. Westwood High School. The winds died down quite a bit from what was about 35-mile-an-hour gusts at the opening kickoff. Flag just about dead. So big 3rd down play coming up now for both sides. 3rd and 1, 3rd and goal for the Warriors. Wolverine defense trying to stop him here. Again, that triple backfield behind Michella. Another long snap count. Inside hit up to Boyle. He's going to be stacked up. But not before he gets in the end zone. Well, gets that 1 yard they needed for the touchdown. The Warriors go on top 9-7. Take advantage of that turnover. And Boyle, who picked off the pass, was able to get the 1 yard for the touchdown. So with 9:04 remaining, it's 9-7. Wayland leading Westwood. Mike Michella on to attempt that extra point. Michella, seems like another good kicker. This year we've seen quite a few good kickers throughout the season. Michella just bangs it through, right down the middle. So 9:04 remaining in the first half. Wayland goes on top 10-7 on the 1 yard dive by Dave Boyle. As referees bring the ball back upfield, the Wolverines are going to have to regroup now and try and get those points back. Wayland comes in this afternoon's game 4-3 out of that tough dual county league. Including those 4 victories, a win over Bedford, who early in the season knocked off defending Super Bowl champion Lincoln Sudbury. This may be the toughest test of the season so far for the Wolverines. Wolverines coming off that big 24-14 win last week in Medfield. What is still one of the craziest endings to a football game. People still talking about that throughout Westwood and Medfield and throughout the state. A couple of articles in the paper about what happened. .904 remaining in our first half. Wolverines trailing 10-7 to the Wayland Warriors. Deep to receive for Westwood is 41 Brett Jacobson, 15 Tommy Despinoza and 36 Teddy Abaccio. Short kick's going to be taken by Lindsey Fink. Fink looking for running room. He slips down on one knee, and that's where he's going to be stopped. The Wolverines will take over 1st and 10. Lindsey had a little bit of running room and tried to look for a hole and just slipped and fell. So Wolverines will take over 1st and 10 from their own 34, 33-yard line. They'll start their 3rd drive of the afternoon. The first one, 4th drive actually. The first one was stopped. Second one ended up in 7 points. The third one ended up in 7 points for Wayland as Greg Warren was intercepted by David Boyle. Greg Warren now lead that offense back. Split backfield behind him, 24, Andy Mullen, 33, Quentin Scott. Walter Burrow split wide left. Inside handoff to Quentin Scott, and he's going to be stacked up just as he gets back to the line of scrimmage, picked up maybe 1 yard. Third down, 2nd down and 9. Kyle Kallenberg split wide left, Walter Burrow wide right. Warren back to drop. He's got time. Looks for Mark Thurman and hits right off the top of his helmet. Tight end Mark Thurman. One of the co-captains and team leaders. He's going to set up 3rd and long now for the Wolverines from their own 35-yard line. An apparent passing down, but you never know what Coach Eric Wolfinger has in that mainframe mind of his, that computer mind with more plays in it sometimes. You just wonder where they come from. Walter Burrow in motion. Quick pitch to Quentin Scott around the left end. Quentin Scott using his speed to get outside. He picks up the 1st down and more. It's not brought down until he gets to midfield. Brought down on a play by Jeremy Borix. But not until Quentin Scott's able to get to midfield. Picked up about 14 yards. Taking advantage of his speed, that outside speed, and following the blocks of Scott McIntyre and V.J. Kelly around that left end. Walter Burrow coming on that play, and that's, believe me, that's a wide receiver's dream. Walter comes down, just cracks down in that defensive end. And you ask any player, boy, they love to hit those blindside blocks sometimes. Inside handoff, Andy Mullen still looking for running room. Andy picks up about a yard before he's brought down by Adam Hawks. With help from Keith Hills. Keith having a good game on the defensive side of the ball for the Warriors this afternoon. And the Wolverines have looked very sharp on offense this afternoon, except for the one turnover, the interception. It was returned down to the 1-yard line. Wolverine offense seems to be clicking on all cylinders so far. That offense, of course, led by junior quarterback Greg Warren. Warren, quick pitch to Quentin Scott. Scott trying to avoid a hit, but he's not going to get anywhere as he's brought down again by Dave Boyle. Boyle having a great game on both sides of the ball. He scored a touchdown. He's already got an interception. And that tackle, loss of about 4 yards, going to set up a 3rd down and 14 for the Wolverines, 3rd and 13. Wolverines may be forced to pass, but I don't have the crystal ball that Billy Crabtree and Billy McGrail like to pull out all the time, so I never try and guess what Eric's going to do next. 6:40 remaining in the first half. Wolverines trailing 10-7. Warren drops back to pass. He's got some time. And he overthrows Walter Burrow. Walter Burrow coming back to the ball in the same area as Mark Thurman. Maybe a little confusion as to what their routes are going to be. It's going to set up a 4th and long. Wolverines are going to be forced to punt. Greg Warren now talking with Mark Thurman and Walter Burrow. Back deep will be John Boyager, and number 4, an unidentified player for the Warriors, to receive the punt of Greg Warren, who got a beautiful punt off the first time into the wind. This one a little end over end, but it's going to be away from Boyager. Boyager's able to pick it up and get about a 5-yard return before he's knocked out of bounds on the far sideline by 44 Mark Thurman, and the Warriors will take over 1st and 10 from their own 19-yard line. 10-7 our score. The Warriors on top. They get their touchdown on a 1-yard dive by Dave Boyle. He set that up himself with a 30-yard interception return down to the 2-yard line, where he was then able to power ahead for the touchdown. And a 25-yard field goal by Mike Michella. The Wolverines, who opened the scoring early, got their touchdown on an 11-yard scamper by Quentin Scott. New quarterback is John Boyager, a junior, calling signals right now. Ball was a snap. Turns around, hands off to Dave Boyle, and Boyle gets nowhere. He's stacked up inside by, again, 64 Jeff Roberts and 71 Scott McIntyre, having a great afternoon. Jeff Roberts, been calling his number afternoon. He's just having an outstanding afternoon from that inside linebacker position. .5:55 remaining in our first half. It's going to be 2nd down and 12 now for the Warriors. They lost 2 yards on that play. And there's a fumble on the play. Ball's loose. Mark Thurman indicating Westwood ball. But it looked like John Boyager might have been able to get back in there. And I don't know what happened to Mike Michella. I'm looking at the far sideline, seeing if he's down at all, but he obviously is shaken up for some reason. He's out of the game. Michella, who did a little bit of everything. He was quarterbacking, kicking off, punting, kicking extra points. And I see him now. He's on the far sideline. It looks like they're taping up an ankle. He might have twisted an ankle. But John Boyager filling in now, backup quarterback, on 3rd down and 13. Inside handoff to Boyle, and Boyle's going to get it to power ahead for about 5 yards before he's stopped by Mike Shea with help from Joe Bean. But it's not going to be enough for the 1st down, and they'll be forced to punt. Back for the Wolverines will be Brett Jacobson. End over end punt, short punt. Goes out of bounds at the Wayland 42-yard line, or actually the 38-yard line. He's going to mark it upfield at the 35. So the Wolverines will take advantage of a short punt into the wind, and they'll have beautiful field position to start their drive. 1st and 10 from the Wayland 35-yard line. Those of you along the line maybe just joining us, I'm Dan McCarthy, solo here this afternoon, bringing you this afternoon's action between the Westwood Wolverines and the Wayland Warriors. The Wayland Warriors on top 10-7. Just over 4 minutes remaining in the first half, and Wolverines are going to switch back to that wishbone offense. Another new look for them. We've seen it in a couple games so far. And Walter Burrow's going to take advantage of it. Picks up about 6 yards on 1st down. Walter's first carry of the afternoon. Big advantage the Wolverines have is just their flexibility on offense. They've got so many talented backs. They've got a talented quarterback who can run many different offenses. Great drop back passer. Great option quarterback. Hi. It's going to be 2nd down and 5 now for the Wolverines from the 30-yard line. Andy Mullen, inside handoff, spins ahead, picks up about 3 yards. It's going to be 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3 for the Wolverines. Dave Boyle again on the tackle. So on 3rd and 5, Greg Warren brings his troops up to the line. Mark Thurman, Scott McIntyre, V.J. Kelly, Jeff Roberts, Joe Bean, Quentin Scott, inside handoff, little counter play. Quentin pounds ahead. He gets about 4 yards, maybe about a yard short of the 1st down. Matt Leonard also a member of that offensive line. It's going to be 4th and maybe 2, along 1.5, 2 yards for the 1st, and they're going to go for it from the Wayland 32-yard line. Big play, I formation behind Greg Warren. Hands off to Quentin Scott. Quentin Scott gets the 1st down and more as he jumps ahead for about 5 yards. Going to be 1st down to the 28-yard line. Big call for the Wolverines. Big run by Quentin Scott keeps his drive alive with 2:36 remaining in the first half. Wolverines trying to get some points back on the board. Either tie this game or go ahead into the half.
Goes to 10 for Westwood.
Wolverine's going to stick with that I formation. Walterboro split wide right, Kyle Kallenberg wide left. Junior quarterback Greg Warren calling signals. Getting inside handoff to Quentin Scott. Quentin Scott still on his feet. He's still jumping and moving. Boy, that kid, when he gets moving, gets some open field, it's tough to stop his feet. And Quentin's going to pick up another first down. Picks up about 12 yards. It's going to be first down in 10 from the Wayland 13-yard line. And nothing wrong with this Westwood offense this afternoon. With 2:04 remaining in the first quarter. Wolverine's going to call a timeout and take advantage of this. Plus, the stop they'll get at the 2-minute warning. Like Billy McGrail called Quentin Scott last week, he's like a knuckleball and he gets a little open room trying to hit him. Kids end up diving for him and just catching nothing but air.
Timeout charge to Westwood.
You can see Coach Billy Lagos talking with the offensive line. Entire coaching staff, Paul Carroll with the hood on. Riley Conley to his right with just the sweatshirt. And in the middle of that is head coach Eric Wolfinger talking with his troops. And now you are giving the 2-minute warning. It was not a timeout, I don't believe.
Wallace was out for a second, but this happens again, he will be back.
So first and 10 now for the Wolverines after the 2-minute warning from the Wayland 13-yard line. They trail presently 10-7, but they're knocking at the door. High formation behind Warren. Inside handoff Andy Mullen. Andy's going to be brought down by Dave Boyle. Dave having a great afternoon for these Warriors. But not until he picked up 3 more yards. They're going to go without a huddle. Greg Warren immediately right back under center Joe Bean. So clock continues to run. 1:40 remaining in the first half. Quick pitch, Quentin Scott wide side of the field. He's got blockers out in front. Great block by Scott McIntyre. And Quentin took advantage of that. Get down to about the 4-yard line. Number 4, I don't know who he is, but he's getting up. He took a big lick from Scott McIntyre. Didn't see him coming. And that block sprung Quentin Scott to the far sideline. When he gets down to the Wayland 4-yard line, will be third down. And we've got a flag on the play. I think they called something on the Wayland sideline. Not quite sure as the referee came running right over. And yes, it is against Wayland. I think the coaching staff may be a little upset that thought maybe it was a clip that Scott McIntyre threw. I saw that block, and it was awful close, but it looked like he had the head in front of him. But obviously something must have been said on that Wayland sideline. The referee didn't hesitate as the linesman over there threw his flag immediately. So on the third down and short, it's going to give Westwood a couple more yards. That dead ball foul against Wayland. Be 3rd and inches now rather than 3rd and 2. So 3rd and inches now from the Wayland 2.5-yard line. 1:30 remaining in the first half. Andy Mullen powers straight ahead. He's got the first down. And he's in for the touchdown. Mark Thurman signaled it first, but the referee was right there to signal it. So Andy Mullen from 2.5 yards out powers ahead. The Wolverines go back on top, 13-10. With 1:25 remaining in the first half. Very impressive drive for the Wolverines. They had great field position starting at the Wayland 35-yard line on the short punt. They took full advantage of it, marched right down the field to get this go-ahead touchdown. Danny Sullivan now on to attempt the extra point. Big gust of wind behind him as that wind's picked up quite a bit again. High snap, ball's down, kick is up and drilled through. Danny Sullivan kicks it to the track. So with 1:25 remaining in that quarter, they're bringing the ball back upfield. Our score is the Westwood Wolverines 14, the Wayland Warriors 7. 10, excuse me. Just trying to take some points off the board, that's all. The Wolverines doing just what they want to do, responding with authority. taking full advantage of the golden field position they were given. Time for a little Diet Pepsi break here. I gotta wet this whistle just a little bit. I'm Dan McCarthy doing this game solo this afternoon. I'm joined by Ken McKee on the camera. Ken just getting a big kick out of this. But Billy McGrail is MIA this afternoon. Roger Cummings is at a wedding. Danny Sullivan, nice kick downfield, taken there by Chris Curley. Curley looking for him right up the middle. He's going to find none as he's stacked up by Andy Mullen, joined in there by Tommy Despinoza. Andy Mullen just coming on strong from game to game, just getting better and better. Showed up last week and had the best game of his career ever, without a doubt, in high school at Westwood High, and he hasn't let down one bit this afternoon. Hit himself a touchdown just last play, and in this play he gets downfield and makes a stop as clock is winding down. 1 minute remaining in the first half. Wolverines on top, 14-10 over the Division III Wayland Warriors. John Boyagen still quarterbacking the Warriors. Inside handoff to Boyle. Boyle flies ahead for about 7 yards. Brought down by Joe Bean, with help in there from Brian Quinn. Before the game, we were still talking about last year's game when Brian Quinn just came in and played. Well, many people talk about maybe the best high school quarterback game they've ever seen. Westwood trailing late in the game, and Brian just put together some great drives coming off the bench cold after not playing for a few games to replace an injured Greg Warren. Enough to Boyle again. Boyle looking for running room. Bounces off Jeff Roberts, but he's not going to get much farther as Scott McIntyre and Matt Leonard over to bring him down. Jeff Roberts is having an outstanding game inside this afternoon. Seems to be wherever the ball is, which is, I guess, what you'd want out of a defensive player. Can't ask anything more. Just keep hitting the ball carrier. The third down and 1 now for the Warriors, as the referees have an official timeout as they call for a measurement. Going to be about a foot and a half short. Backup quarterback John Boyagen, replacing the injured Mike Michella, who was doing everything, wondering if he was going to sell some popcorn at halftime. And he follows it. Boyagen did a good job just to fall back on the ball as he looked like he tried to hand it off and just missed the handoff with Dave Boyle. But that's going to be it in the first half. And at halftime, the Wolverines leading 14-10 over Division III Wayland. Quite a bit through the half. Flag is straight out again. Wind blowing at about 35 miles an hour. I'm Dan McCarthy, solo here this afternoon. Westwood Wolverines presently leading the Wayland Warriors 14-10. The Warriors, a Division III team from the Dual County League, coming down here, checking in at 4-3. The Wolverines 5-0-1 through the season, coming off a big win last weekend in Medfield. Wolverines will receive, and will going into that win. They'll have the wind at their back in the fourth quarter, which could be a big advantage late in this game.
If you don't give him a large round of applause, we're going to have to put him on the table. Thank you very much.
So Wayland will be receiving in the first, in the second half. Playing 11-minute quarters here this afternoon. Using Division III rules, they play 11-minute quarters in Division III. So a big extra 4 minutes for the Wolverines to play some football this afternoon. So far, they played pretty well with the 2 minutes they had, the 2 extra minutes they had in the first half. But those 22 minutes, they put to good use on touchdown runs. 11 yards by Quentin Scott, and a 1-yard dive by, actually a 2-yard dive by Andy Mullen. Counted by a 25-yard field goal by Mike Michella, and a 1-yard dive by co-captain Dave Boyle. He set that up on a Beautiful 30-yard interception return. And Chris Curley powers right up the middle on the opening kickoff of the second half, and he gets up to the 45-yard line of Wayland, where he's brought down by Mike Totino, with help in there from Richie Shea and Bruce McKinnon. Now I'm a little disappointed right now. I lost my 50-50 raffle tickets. Probably the winning tickets, my luck. 1st and 10 now for the Warriors. John Boyage, in the second-string quarterback, is replacing Mike Michella, who did a little bit of everything in the first half, but was injured in the middle of the second quarter. And that's Dave Boyle, powering ahead, still on his feet. Gets about 8 yards before he's finally brought down by Brian Quinn, and Walter Burrell in on the stop. As you can see, that blue sky in the background, another beautiful day, just a little windy, a little nippy. First fall football day, really. The balmy weather is over. Second, Dave Boyle missed that snap count. Mike Shea chasing Voyager, and Voyager looking for some running room. He's going to run out of real estate, though, before he hits the Westwood bench and falls over the bench.
2 Westwood players off to help them up. Back out on the field of Voyager.
Looks like Dave Boyle just missed the snap count on that and got a late start. And Voyager just had to improvise. You can see Voyager and Boyle talking it over right now, discussing just what that snap count was. Voyager ended up losing about 3 yards on the play, so it's going to be 3rd down and 5 now for the Wolverines, for the Warriors.
Eric Lynch and Lisa Guillaume, the captains of the cheerleaders today, appearing in their last home game, the seniors.
Warriors now 3rd and 5 from their own 48-yard line. Voyager, quick drop, ball's deflected. It's going to be intercepted by Scott McIntyre. McIntyre trying to be a running back and just plows ahead back down to the 48-yard line. So the Wolverines get the first turnover of the second half in great field position, as Voyager just took a quick drop and was looking outside for Brian Donnelly, but the ball was tipped in the interior line and in the brightening arms of Scott McIntyre. So as Greg Warren switches balls, gets his own football in there, Wolverines will start 1st and 10 from the Warrior 46-yard line. Joe Bean at center with. Greg Warren calling signals. Inside handoff to Walter Burrell. Walter powers ahead for about 4 yards before he's stopped on the play by Dave Boyle with help from Adam Hawks. Wolverines on top 14-10. Get the first break of the second half. 9:38 remaining now in our second half. All right, now third quarter. That inverted wishbone, which we get to see last week for the first time. Quentin Scott takes the pitch out. He's got a lot of room out there and a lot of speed. Quentin Scott on the far sideline, and no one's going to touch him until he picks up about 18 yards on that far sideline. Finally knocked out of bounds at about the 28-yard line of the Wayland Warriors. They're going to mark it at the 30. Be another first down. Quentin Scott just gets that outside speed, and there's no linebacker anywhere in high school football that's going to stop him once he turns that corner and starts heading upfield. No one's going to catch him from behind. So Scott actually picked up about 16 on the play. Picking up another Westwood first down from the 32-yard line of Wayland. Greg Warren calling signals with that inverted bone behind him again. Inside handoff, Andy Mullen, so successful last week running out of this. He's going to be stacked up. Chris Curley, along with Keith Thomason and Dave Boyle, stopped Andy.
As we mentioned before, Wayland is our school's oldest rival. He's having played about 35 times.
Wolverines now 2nd and 8. From the 29-yard line of Wayland. Greg Warren with that split backfield behind him. Play action. He's going to run a little option. Greg keeps the ball, bounces off one hit, still on his feet. Picks up about 2, and he's finally knocked down by Rich Abraham with help from Bill Kotek. Carl Callenberg's going to split wide right. Walter Burrell left to the short side of the field. Greg Warren with an I formation. Andy Mullen 24, Quentin Scott 33 behind him on a 3rd down and 6 play. Inside handoff, Andy Mullen's got some room. Andy's still on his feet. And he powers ahead, and he's going to get enough for the first down. Brought down by Dave Boyle and Chris Curley. Dave Boyle having an outstanding afternoon on both sides of the football field. Another first down for the Wolverines. It's going to be 1st and 10 now from the 25-yard line. Andy Mullen, that little inside delay. Again, that inverted wishbone, that just switches every single play. Wayland never knows what's coming at him. This time it's going to be Quentin Scott inside. Picked up about 2 before he was stacked up by Chris Curley and Derek Edwards. Greg Warren talking on the sideline with head coach Eric Wolfinger. Carl Callenberg coming over just to let him know that I've got an open lane right up the outside there. Obviously he saw something and he wanted to let his coaches know that no one's picking him up to the outside corner if he runs a corner pat. And Kyle goes out wide right to the top of your screen. Walter Burrell left. Warren back to pass. He's got time. And he's got Mark Thurman open down the left sideline. Mark Thurman is knocked out of bounds at about the 3-yard line. Chris Curley on the coverage, but Mark Thurman did a good job of getting himself open. A little delay and out. The ball's going to be spotted on the 4, so it's going to be 1st and goal for the Wolverines on the 4-yard line, putting another impressive drive together. Wolverines with that inverted bone again. The ever-changing Westwood offense. And Andy Mullen's going to power straight ahead, inside dive. He's going to get down to about the 1-yard line following the block of Jeff Roberts and Scott McIntyre. It's going to be marked at the 1-yard line, so it's going to be 2nd and goal from the 1. This offensive line doing an outstanding job of blocking. Mark Thurman, Scott McIntyre, Jeff Roberts on the left side. Joe Bean in the middle, and V.J. Kelly, Matt Leonard, and Carl Callenberg on the right. And that's going to be Walter Burrell as he dives ahead, maybe just a little bit short.
Walter Burrell carrying the ball.
And he's in for the touchdown. The official took a long time before he signaled that. Oh, no, they signaled it short. No, they didn't.
It should be noted that Westwood has had 23 different people score a touchdown this year. Credit to Eric Wilkins' coaching.
5.5 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. Wolverine's knocking on the door. 3rd down and about a foot from the goal line. And Greg Warren's going to keep it this time and sneak in for the touchdown behind that big offensive line. They didn't miss this time, and the Wolverines now open up their lead to 20-10 over the Warriors. 5:17 remaining in our 3rd quarter. And Greg Warren picks up his first rushing touchdown this year. And they're drawing the 50-50 raffle right now. I'm out of luck. I lost my tickets. So if anyone wins tickets they found on the ground, you owe me the money.
Flags on the flag.
If the flags go flying, maybe an illegal procedure against the Wolverines. I think that's what it's going to be. Yeah, illegal procedure, Wolverines. Launching back 5 yards.
Starting quarterback's first touchdown of the season. Greg Warren's first touchdown this year.
So Danny Sullivan now with quite a long extra point attempt. It doesn't matter. He drills it. No, it looks like it might have been, it was wide left. Hook it just a little bit. It was long enough, but he just hooked it a bit. So with 5:17 to go in the 3rd quarter, bringing the ball back upfield, the Wolverines extend their lead to 20-10 over the Division III Wayland Warriors.
Find your ticket somewhere under all those coats and sweaters. Raise your number and you're the lucky winner. Come right up here to the newly decorated track box and collect your money.
So Danny Sullivan, who just hooked that extra point, will be kicking off. Back deep will be Chris Curley and Dave.
The winning number is 039389.
Dave Boyle.
039389.
And 86, Todd Boulay. Sullivan now awaiting the referee's signal. And he gets it. And the ball falls off the tee again. Like I said earlier, that wind is really blowing now. That flagpole is starting to sway the wind itself. Adam Mavs will hold the ball, but Danny Sullivan gets a nice end over end kick. We're taken by Boulay, and he trips and falls at his 26-yard line. Looking for some running room, and he just slipped and fell down.
Number once again, we do not have a win yet. 39389. 39389. We do have a winner.
First down and 10 now for the Warriors. 5:14 remaining in the third quarter.
The winner is from Wayland, coming across the front of the stands right now. $110 will go to this lucky winner. The double check will be made by Mr. Quinn at the front of the press box, right down there. Yes, we have a winner, and yes, he was from Wayland, and he's going home $110 richer.
So with 5:13 remaining to go in our first half, third quarter. Wayland first and 15 now after the penalty. Voyager drops back to pass. He's got some time. He's there and went out deep downfield for Danelli, and Danelli in and out of hands. Good play in there by Tommy Despinoza. Despinoza was stride for stride. He was not going to get beat that time.
The winner was Ralph Marcella. The name comes from the name from the starting quarterback today, Mike.
Great play by Tommy Despinoza on that to stay stride for stride with Brian Danelli. And that's going to be second down and 15 now for the Warriors. They're trying to get some quick points on the board. They find themselves trailing by 10 points after being up 14-10 midway through the second quarter. Excuse me, 10-7. Wolverines have come back with 14 or 13 unanswered points. Danelli on the keeper now. Abuejan on the keeper. Gets a good block on the outside. He's going to be knocked out of bounds. Not until he picked up about 5 yards. Warriors having to improvise just a little bit here with their second string quarterback. Exactly 5 minutes to go in our third quarter.
Get out the track with the blue top for me. Little kid.
Third down and 11 for the Warriors. Trying to set up a screen pass. It's going to be stuck. Smelled out right away. The ball is free. The referee calls it an incomplete pass. The screen never really set up that well. It was read beautifully by Mark Thurman and Jeff Roberts. They did a good job of reading that play. Intended for Rich Abraham. Abraham never could get his hands on the ball. Would have been short of the first down anyway. It's going to be fourth down and 11. The Warriors are going to be forced to punt. Back deep will be Brett Jacobson, number 41 for the Wolverines. And that big wind behind the back of the punter for Wayland. It's going to be under some pressure. Mark Thurman just gets through his hands. It's going to take a Wayland bounce and roll, and Jacobs is going to pick it up, looking for some running room, and he's going to go nowhere. Brought down immediately on the play by Doug Labb, number 67. And that's where the Wolverines will take over 1st and 10 from their own 38-yard line.
Ned Burke is number 4 for Wayland.
Thank you.
So the Wolverines 1st and 10. They're on top, 20-10. 4.5 minutes remaining in our 3rd quarter. Greg Warren with that I formation behind him. Inside handoff, Andy Mullen. Andy picks up about 1 yard. Maybe just come back to the line of scrimmage. It'll be 2nd down and 10. Greg Dalrymple now bringing in the next play. Walter Brown coming out.
Also for number 72, Greg Randall, co-captain.
Dalrymple comes in and split wide left. Kyle Callenberg split wide right, top of your screen. Quick pitch to Quentin Scott. Quentin following the blocks of just following Brad Pindell out there along with Scott McIntyre. But they weren't able to hit all the white shirts, and Derek Edwards and Dave Boyle are out there to make the stop. It's going to set up a 3rd and long, 3rd and 9 now. So the clock continues to run in the brisk fall afternoon. You can see the shadows setting down over the Wolverines. And the game started actually about 45 minutes later than usual. We had about a 2:10, 2:15 start this afternoon. So those shadows are going to be a little bit longer by the end of the game. Greg Warren in shotgun formation on 3rd and long. He's got some time. He's looking for Walter Burrell out of the backfield. Walter's wide open along the left sideline. And Walter on just a little loop by the backfield. Got the ball at the 45, but went another 15 yards before he was knocked down about 12 yards. It's going to be 1st and 10 now for the Wolverines from the 44-yard line of the Wayland Warriors. Junior quarterback Greg Warren calling signals. Inside handoff to Andy Mullen, and Andy's going to be stacked up immediately before he gets back to the line of scrimmage. Derek Edwards and Rich Abraham in on the stop, with help from co-captain Dave Boyle. Dave Boyle and Fred Randall, the co-captains for the Wayland Warriors. Westwood co-captains, 71 Scott McIntyre, 44 Mark Thurman, 55 is center Joe Bean. And 64 is linebacker and offensive lineman Jeff Roberts, is having one heck of a football game this afternoon. Shotgun formation again for Warren on 2nd and 10. He's got some time. Good job of blocking. He's going to be flush in the pocket, and he's going to be dragged down from behind. On arm tackle, good play in there by Rich Abraham. Just got a hold of Greg Warren by the passing arm, and Greg just couldn't do anything. He just had to go down. See Greg now discussing it with head coach Eric Wolfinger, what they want to do here. It's going to be 3rd and about 21 now for a 1st down. So on 3rd and long, Greg Warren again will be throwing from that shotgun formation. Set up the screen. It was just tipped inside. Hit Andy Mullen right in the face mask. It was tipped by Bill Kotek. He ended up hitting Andy Mullen, went right to his hands and right in the face mask. Going to be 4th down and long. Greg Warren's going to be forced to punt. Back to the Warriors, who now were trailing the Wolverines with 1:43 remaining in the 3rd quarter, 20-10. 3 different players scoring this afternoon for the Wolverines. Greg Warren had the last one on a 1-yard dive. Andy Mullen on a 2-yard dive. And Quentin Scott on an 11-yard scamper early in the game. 3 touchdowns for the Wolverines. Greg Warren, a low line drive into that heavy wind. Ball's going to be picked up and right through the arms of Chris Curley. But he fell on it before Mark Thurman and Kyle Callenberg could get there. And the Warriors will take over right there, 1st and 10 from their own 30-yard line. 70 yards to go to try and get some points back on the board. Try and close the gap to the with the Wolverines. I'm Dan McCarthy, and John Boyagen calling signals. He's going to drop back to pass. He's looking deep downfield, but he's not going to have time as Mike Shea finally got his chance. He had a chance earlier and missed it. He wasn't going to miss this one as he got Boyagen from behind, and a good job by Mike Shea to get to Boyagen. Boyagen just didn't have time. He was looking for Brian Donnelly, who was running a streak pattern on the left side, but he was well covered by the deep coverage of Tommy Despinoza and Brian Quinn. He just had no one to throw to. Mike Shea ended up catching up to him. It's going to be 2nd and 17 now for the Warriors. They're going to come out with that passing formation again. 3 receivers left. Single setback is Dave Boyle. Little Statue of Liberty play. Boyle goes nowhere. He's hit inside by Joe Bean and Mike Shea again.
Mike Shea and Joe Bean, 61 and 55.
Time running out in our 3rd quarter. 29 seconds remaining in the quarter. Westwood on top, 20 to 10.
25 seconds left in the quarter.
The Warriors come up to the line of scrimmage. And that's going to be the end of the 3rd quarter as the official scorers on the field call the end of the 3rd quarter. So at the end of 3 quarters, our score, the Westwood Wolverines 20, the Wayland Warriors 10. Let's take this commercial break.